You're still watching AM News, and I'm Samuel Udafia. A 24-year-old boy, Daniel Etembasi of Okwaba in Abakaliki government area, has been reported missing. Daniel Etembasi, according to a police statement in Uyo, is a 1.60 feet tall person and speaks Ibibio and English languages fluently. The police say Daniel left home on July 13, 2016 in a Mack truck with registration number ABK 103 and has not returned, even when efforts to trace his whereabouts have been unsuccessful. Also, one Enoeno Etem, also of Okwaba, missing the 29-year-old girl. The 29-year-old lady, who is dark in complexion, speaks Anam and English languages fluently. A police statement signed by the police public relations officer, Cordelia Nwamwe, says the 1.60 tall man left his home on the 13th of July 2016 with a Mack truck with registration number ABK 103 and has not returned since. The statement requests members of the public with useful information on the whereabouts of the missing persons to contact the divisional police officer, Abak Division, or the nearest police station. The Forum of Past Chairmen and the League of Veteran Journalists in the state have met to strategize to ensure a more successful election into the State Council of the Nigeria Union of Journalists. The election is taking place on August 1, 2016. The forum held the meeting at Press Center on Information Drive, Uyo. Uyoko Uswa brings details.
Attended by several members of the League and past chairmen of the Union, deliberated on issues that border on the image of the Union, ethics, and the practice of journalism in Akwa Ibom State. The first elected chairman of the NUJ Akwa Ibom State Council and member forum of past chairmen, Elder Namso Moren, noted that the forum has a critical role to play in the maintenance and sustenance of the good public image of the revered profession. Elder Moren urged the forum to rise to its responsibility to ensure the success and the progress of the union in the transition process.
Now we should not look at what extent we individually as persons benefit from the resources of the union, but what the leadership is able to put on ground that would guarantee a better future, secure a better institution for this place to provide more resources.
The chairman of the League of Veteran Journalists, Chief Emmanuel Osifa, who noted that the body serves as a rallying point for unity as well as a reservoir of good counsel for the union, stressed the need for journalists in the state to acquaint themselves with the constitutional provisions of the union and conduct themselves accordingly. He admonished members of the NUJ to put the interest of the union above sentiment as they go to the polls.
It is now left on us to do something, to start something that will uplift both the ethics and the practice of journalism in Akwa Ibom State. I think posterity will not judge us right if we allow things to go on the way they are going.
A former editor-in-chief of the Pioneer newspaper, Mr. Obiota Ekanem, said that journalists in the state should be more concerned about performance and good representation rather than the numbers each chairman or executive can serve. He advised that while those who do well should be given an opportunity to do more, leaders who perform badly should be shown the way out.
The issue that we got more than a day about is that of performance. We have somebody whom we have given an assignment. How has he performed in that assignment? Somebody has been tested. Has he passed a test? Those are the questions that we should.
The forum observed a moment of silence in honor of the departed former chairman of the council, Barrister Daniel Ekanem, while deliberations were adjourned till Monday to allow all candidates seeking elective positions into the council equal opportunities to consult properly. Uyoko Uswa, reporting.
President Muhammadu Buhari has sent the name of Mr. Nsimai Kere to the Senate for confirmation as Managing Director of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC. Mr. Kere, a one-time Deputy Governor of Akwa Ibom State, is expected to take over from the Acting Managing Director of the Commission, Mrs. Ibim Seminitari, to complete the tenure of Barrister Basi Dan Abia at the NDDC. Also on the list for confirmation by the Senate is the former Senate leader Victor Ndoma Egba from Cross River State, who has been nominated as chairman of the commission. He will take over from Senator Basi Ewa Henshaw if confirmed. The Federal Executive Council has approved a new roadmap that will encourage mass participation in agriculture. President Erdogan of Turkey has announced a 3-month state of emergency as a result of the botched coup in that country. Samuel Ayara has details of these and other stories.
The Federal Executive Council has approved the implementation of the Green Alternative Compendium, a roadmap towards diversifying Nigeria's economy. The Minister for Agriculture, Mr. Audu Ogbe, on Wednesday said that the policy objective of the document, which has a 4-year implementation period, is designed to make agriculture the biggest alternative to oil and gas. Members and leaders of the organized labor have accused governors of mismanaging the federal government bailout funds to the chagrin of workers. Citing Kogi and Imo states among states whose governors have displayed gross insensitivity to plight of workers as regards their welfare, the President Nigerian Labour Congress, Comrade Ayuba Waba, called on President Muhammadu Buhari to investigate the funds. Speaking in Kogi at a protest against the state government, the NLC president described as ungodly and inhuman the 7-month non-payment of workers in the state, threatening to mobilize workers across the country against the state government if it does not hurriedly do something to alleviate the plight of workers in the state. And on the foreign scene, Turkey's President Recep Erdogan Wednesday declared a 3-month state of emergency following the botched coup attempt, insisting on ridding the military of the virus of subversion to give the government sweeping powers to expand a crackdown that has already included mass arrest and closure of schools. Erdogan, in a speech after a meeting with cabinet ministers and security advisors, said the measure would counter threats to Turkish democracy, assuring that the emergency was not against law and freedom. He did not announce details, but the security measure could facilitate longer detention for many of the nearly 10,000 people who have been arrested since loyalist forces and protesters quashed the rebellion. Despite the presidential announcement, the emergency rule is expected to be published in the State Gazette, after which lawmakers must approve before it takes effect. In what many described as playing down the calls for Republican unity, Senator Ted Cruz on Wednesday night refused to endorse Donald Trump in his GOP convention address. It is reported that Cruz's defense earned him thunderous boos from furious delegates when he encouraged Americans to simply vote their conscience in November, ripping open party divisions and infuriating Trump allies like Chris Christie, who called Cruz's decision totally selfish. In a surreal moment, Trump unexpectedly walked into the arena with delegates chanting Trump's name, imploring Cruz to voice his support, even as former House Speaker Newt Gingrich went off script explaining away the senator's lack of support for the party nominee as an endorsement of Trump's candidacy.
That's all we have this morning, and now the top stories. Governor Udom Emmanuel has acknowledged the harmonious relationship between the legislature and the executive in the sustenance of democratic culture. The state's chief executive stated this at Government House during a breakfast meeting with members of Gombe State House of Assembly who were in the state on a retreat. Also, the state government has said the 16-kilometer Obotme Arochukwu Road and Upenekang Uyaron Road, which lead to the Ibaka Deep Sea Port, will be constructed through public-private partnership. That's our package. Thanks for watching. You can also watch AKBC TV online by logging on to akbconline.org or follow us on Twitter at AKBC450 or on Facebook at AKBC Channel 45. That's our package. Good morning. Akwabomites, rise to the faith of greatness. Rise to the faith that with God all things are possible. Rise to the faith that as a people we can move beyond biases, ethnicity, religion, and gender. Rise to togetherness. Rise to chart a new course for us, our children, and a generation of Akwabomites unborn. Hold fast the confession of our hope that without wavering, for he who promised is faithful. Arise to the faith that Akwa Ibom was created to be great.
I arise to the faith that Akwa Ibom is destined to be great.
I am an Akwa Ibomite.
And I arise to the faith of greatness.
Akwa Ibomite.
Akwa Ibom, Dakada.
This is a home where we all belong. The place where life is beautiful. The peaceful ambience we enjoy when we live together in unity and love. It's only man and you know. We go stand together, we go make them better. We be brothers and sisters, no matter where we be. It's only man and you know. No matter where we day, we are one. Let's live together in peace and harmony. Yes.